is my friend's daughter. I know her from the very early life. Means that I did not see her when she was born, but just after she was born, probably 1-2 years. That time I see her. In the beginning, now she is going to civil engineering, and you know that she is in now UofT. She has very good uh, reputation, means that she got accepted to most of all the reputed universities here. Eventually, she did not go out of Toronto. Probably her parents does not like, and it is cheaper. Okay. Anyway, so she will introduce that what it is Toronto University and what is to do to get into universities in engineering and what they study there. So we will, yeah, you can start, Proma.
Okay. I'm making screen share or
Yes, yes, share your screen.
It says host disabled participant screen sharing.
How come?
Speaker.
Can you check? Usually not, but giving.
You could start now.
Okay, let me try. You know, it doesn't let me screen share.
Okay, I am giving.
Like I pressed the screen share button on the bottom right there, right?
Okay. So okay, can you check now?
Oh, ako na.
Okay, good. So.
Okay. Hi guys. So my name is Shrabanti or Proma, and today I'll talk to you guys about the engineering schools in Canada. Mostly McMaster, Ryerson, UofT, and Waterloo, because those are the ones that I know the most about. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, clear.
Okay. So just a little bit about me. I went to RH King, and I graduated in 2018, and then I was in the Model UN Club, STEM Club, and the Library Council, and then I go to UofT now. I first went into the mineral engineering program, and then I switched to the civil engineering program this year. And then those are like two entrance scholarships that I got, and I'll talk about scholarships more as we go on. So in terms of what you can expect from an engineering school, there's always requirements that you need to have when you're applying. So these are the main requirements that you need in grade 12. So you have English, you have your 2 maths, calculus and vectors and advanced functions, and then you have chemistry and physics, your 2 sciences. And then most universities also include one additional U or M course into your average when they're calculating your averages for scholarships and for acceptances. But also feel free to interrupt me if you have any questions. Some universities like UofT, when they're looking at scholarships, they only consider the top 5 courses. So in this case, they would only consider the 5 first ones, not the additional U or M. Another thing that you need to include in your application is your OSSLT, just to prove that you can speak English. And other things are like the 40+ hours of community service. It's probably better to have more. I know that a lot of schools like TOPS, like the TOPS program and RH King, they have more hours that are required. So having more just shows that you're a better, like well-rounded student and that you care about other people. Another thing that's really important in your application is extracurricular activities. Like in grade 12, I didn't have the highest grades, especially for like chemistry and in chemistry. So because of that, I was sort of struggling to get into a lot of the universities, or I thought I was, because I didn't have a 90 in chemistry. So I thought that because of that, I might not get into any university. But because I had so many extracurricular activities and I had leadership roles in those extracurricular activities, it showed people that I was, more well-rounded, and I had a lot of like leadership and social skills that would benefit me for their program. Other helpful skills that are useful are like programming languages. They're not necessary if you're applying to university because you will be learning them from the very basics in university, but knowing them is very useful as well. Same with AutoCAD and SolidWorks, which are sort of graphics programs that are useful to learn and fun to do as well. Another tip in terms of applying to an engineering university is that there's always like an optional supplemental form which tells the people who are reviewing your application how, like, who you are, like what kind of clubs you joined, who are you as a student, why do you want to apply to this university. Filling out these kind of forms show the people who are reviewing your application like who you are. It gives you a little bit of a personality and it puts a face to the applicant, which is always useful to have. So in terms of applying to university, you can also get scholarships. There's entrance scholarships, department scholarships, which you don't have to apply for. You're automatically considered when you are accepted into a university program. So entrance scholarships and department scholarships, they depend on your grade point average. So if you have a 90, you can get up to $2,000. If you have, I believe it's a 95, you can get anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000. And I know a lot of other universities provide like full scholarships for 90 or even like 95% marks. It all depends on the engineering program, where the school is, how big the program is, that sort of thing. And then you can also go out of your way and apply to your own scholarships. If you go into Google and you search up like Canadian scholarships, engineering scholarships for applicants, you can apply to as many as you want. It's always better to do the ones that are like $2,000, $1,000, because you're more likely to get those because not too many people apply to them, rather than the ones that are $10,000 plus. But yeah, you can always apply to those whenever you want. And in terms of applying to your own scholarships, one thing that I would suggest is applying as early as possible. A lot of scholarships require, what's it called? Like reference letters, essays, that sort of stuff. So then doing them beforehand, like during winter break, is always useful. So you're not stressing yourself out during the school year. So in terms of how to choose the best program for you, you have to sort of look at the multiple disciplines that exist. And there are so many, and these aren't even all of them. If you go into like the certain university, you'll see that each school has their own set of disciplines. So the ones on the left are kind of the basic ones, like electrical, computer, civil, mechanical, industrial, chemical, like all of this you've probably heard of already. And then on the right, you have your special ones like track 1, which is if you don't know which engineering you want to do. At UofT, you can choose like a general track 1 program, and then you would specify one of these other engineering types afterwards. There's also mineral and like engineering science, which is one of the hardest programs at UofT to get into. And then the Waterloo has multiple other programs that you can apply to, which are all very cool, like architectural, mechatronics, nanotech, software, system design, management engineering, and so much more that I didn't have space to talk about. And McMaster also has multiple different types of engineering. So like here you have this entire like sort of page of options to choose. And so how would you know how to choose them? One thing that you could do to start is do Waterloo's engineering placement test. On Google, if you search up like Waterloo engineering test, you can try it out and see like what interests you about it. And then if you choose one of these options and then do the little quiz, it'll show you what kind of engineering program might be best suited for you. So this is like one of the ways that you can sort of start to think about what you like to do. Another thing is I'll just talk about the multiple engineering departments. So like you can always look into like what kind of interests you have when you want to decide what engineering you want to do. So for example, if you like programming, taking part technology, hardware and software stuff, you can always consider electrical and computer and software engineering. If you're interested in building things like bridges, highways, and buildings, and like looking at sort of statics. I think it's called not kinematics, like the statics courses that you may take in grade 12 physics. That if that sort of stuff interests you, you can always consider architectural or civil engineering. In terms of if you like robotics or mechanical systems, you want to build a roller coaster, you want to build or design an engine, you can consider mechatronics or mechanical engineering. If you want to do like optimization or something's kind of, it's a little bit business related, but not really, you can consider industrial engineering. And then there's, if you like chemistry, or if you want to look at the different types of microstructure that exist in materials and you want to see what kind of strengths they have and you want to do research on that kind of stuff, you can do chemical and material science engineering, which are all very good options as well. So like there's all of these options, but to know what to choose, you'd have to really think about what you like to do. And I would suggest looking into the programs at multiple universities, seeing what kind of classes they take, seeing what they take after first year, and just seeing like if that sort of topic interests you. And then in terms of what to expect in first year, most of the classes are general regardless of what discipline you're in. So these are some of the classes that like I took, some friends at McMaster took, some friends at Waterloo took, and we were all in different engineering programs. And they're pretty standard all across engineering, and I think all across Canada as well. So you always have like a calculus, you have a statics, a physics course, you have a chemistry, you have a design-based course, which sort of teaches you like how to speak in an engineering setting, how to give professional engineering presentations, and that sort of thing. You have linear algebra, material science, and of course you have your programming courses. These depend on whether or not you're in, like, if you're in civil, you probably do Python programming, whereas if you're in computer or electrical or mechanical, you'll do C. It all depends on which department you're on for programming. And then, of course, some programs have mandatory to do things like circuits and like the electrical engineering courses, like at McMaster. But for UofT, like classes like circuits, dynamics, and electricity and magnetism were only necessary for the electrical engineering students and the track 1 engineering students. And then on the right, I have what my timetable looked like for first year. It's not too busy, like 9 to 6 most days. I think for me, my schedule was worse second year, but that's like another topic. And in terms of what classes there are in second year, I can't talk about all of them because they depend on which discipline you're in. So like for electrical, you'll take a lot more power and control sort of classes, and a lot of like different calculus courses. Like we would all take the same, we'd all have a calculus 3 kind of, or an engineering mathematics in second and third year, but it'd be, we would learn different things. So the electrical engineering people, they learn different differential equations, whereas the civil engineers learn another type of differential equation, which you guys will learn about if you go into engineering afterwards. And so in terms of like what engineering to choose, I know a lot of people will talk about the job market for engineers. And people will say, you know, there may not be a lot of like jobs for civil engineers, or there may be a lot more jobs for electrical engineers instead of like other disciplines. But like if you look at the statistics, like it's not always the case. Like there's always going to be jobs available for you. It's not about like it's not always about what kind of jobs are available. I think if you look deep enough, you'll find something that you enjoy. And also there's a growing need to replace a lot of the retiring people, like people in civil, mechanical, and electrical. Like a lot of the people who are in the workforce right now are a lot much older, and they're going to be retiring soon. So there is a huge need for newer like engineers and newer like people in these sort of fields, which are always going to be very prominent and like big in terms of the job market. Like there's always going to be newer technology to be built for mechanical, for like the automated industry, as well as there's always going to be like power systems to build. There's always going to be new buildings that need to be restored or new highways that need to be built. So there's always going to be a need for these sort of jobs. So I wouldn't ever choose a job like a discipline or an engineering type just because one discipline has more jobs, I guess, than the other one does. And then overall, some other important factors to consider are like things like comfort, money, transportation. So for me, like a lot of people ask me why I chose UofT, like chemical, civil or like mineral engineering instead of Waterloo electrical engineering. And yes, the main part wasn't that my parents wanted me to stay home. They actually wanted me to go to Waterloo, and they were willing to, drive back and forth from Waterloo all the time. But for me, it was that I think I strive on community and comfort, and I think I am much more comfortable at home than I am, living outside somewhere else away from everybody. And I think I made the right choice. Also, like things like money, if you need to consider it, like there's always scholarships and stuff. I know a lot of one of my friends, he got into Queens with a full scholarship, and he also got into the Waterloo computer engineering program. But he ended up choosing Queens because for him it was financially a better decision for him. And so there's always those little things that you can consider. Same with transportation. Like, is it worth it for you to commute 2 hours to university and then 2 hours back? Probably not. So, and looking at things like extracurriculars and all of that stuff, and like community, health, happiness, like all of those things are very important when you're trying to choose an engineering program. And yeah, that's all I have. If you have any questions.
Very good, Proma. It was great that I think that a kind of most of the students here, they are kind of don't know what to do, how to select. It was a very good summary. So now it will be good for students the questions, and also that we have a professor here who is in the he is the advisory committee today. He will advise you. Udichi has a question.
In the beginning, like you talked about like UNM courses, but like what are those?
I forget what the M stands for, but university the U is university. I don't know if you remember what the M is.
M stands for mixed, so it's like mixed. University and college.
Yeah, that one.
Okay.
So it'll they'll whatever university courses you take, it'll just take the highest of that one.
Okay.
Okay, question?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes.
In the beginning of the slide, when you were talking about like
can you show you?
Yeah, sorry. In the beginning of the slide where you were talking about like the different programming languages, you said like Python, C, C#, and then there was something called SLQ, I think. Is that SQL or is that something different?
I'm not entirely sure. I think it's like a what's it called? I would Google it. To be honest, I'm not entirely sure.
SQL, I think it is SQL. It's a kind of.
It might be SQL.
Yeah, SQL. It's a kind of database and searching engine or something like. Okay, that's very common language, Rishi. I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
Excuse me. Do you always need to stay in the rooms when you go to university?
Like in lectures?
The dormitory.
The dormitory.
I think it might be mandatory to stay in dormitories first year, and then afterwards you have to find off-campus housing. I think it's mandatory to it usually is mandatory to stay on campus.
You can't get out?
I think you should be able to, yeah, because like if you're commuting, then you're technically not staying on campus, right? So you should be able to like live off campus.
Thank you, Bolo.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, question.
I have a question.
Yes.
For general scholarships, which you talked about,
Mhm.
is it possible to apply in grade 9 or 10?
I never looked into that, but I wouldn't say so, because like, your scholarships are to help you pay for your university tuition usually. So we don't like in elementary school or like from grade 9 to 12, like we get education for free, so there's no need to get a scholarship for anyone.
No. If you're going into university, but you're applying early in grade 10 or 11.
Srijani, the question is that is there?
I think that I can answer that question. No, most of the time you do not have to do that. So the most of the time you have to, when you apply, go to university, most of the time you are going to apply at, sometimes in when you are in grade 12.
Okay.
But Srijani,
And one thing also I should mention is that when you are going to apply for a scholarship, not only the university scholarship, there are some national scholarships too. So you should consider those things, like you know, like there are some scholarship you can apply, but you should plan properly early, because you need to have, in addition to your grades, you need to have also extracurricular activities. You have to plan like such a way that you can apply. Some of the scholarship your school will have to nominate. If the school nominates, only then you can apply. Say the big scholarship like say Shulek or Loram, so those are national award. So the Toronto has UofT, they have that kind of award. You have to be nominated from the school. So please check, like, you know, when you are in grade at the end of the at the beginning of grade 12. So you should keep in mind that those scholarships will come, and you have to contact someone, like some professors. Some school teachers are in charge, so they will inform you.
Excuse me. Can you apply to university before grade 12?
For a scholarship?
No, for entry.
No, I don't think so. At least I hear.
I have some comment, people. I know it is possible. So
is it possible?
Yeah. So you can apply once you have all the course done before. Say, I know I saw a news. Hello. Yeah. So when once you finish all the courses and you can, and I know in master who studied in university while he was in grade 10, means that he is supposed to go to 11, but he went to university and he was doing it. And Toronto University, I know one student, he finished, he studied university at grade 10. So it's possible. Only the prerequisite, all the course you have to done. However, is a little bit difficult in a sense that difficult means yeah, you'll be very young and probably you may not like that kind of schedule. That's, I don't recommend, but it's possible.
It'd also be kind of hard to like make friends, probably.
Yeah, exactly.
It just like everyone would be older. It'd be a different crowd.
Yeah. And you will be kind of foreigner there. Yeah.
I have a question.
And then it'd be more like stressful to like do all this stuff because you don't really have that much experience.
Yeah, I mean, for me, like, I think it's like our brains develop, you know, yearly, right? Kind of. So like, even though you have this background knowledge on all of the mathematical stuff, like we still like lack a lot of like common sense when we're younger. Like I'm smarter now than I was in grade 12, of course, right? And that's because I've done school each year. So like if you can handle something like that, it's possible. But like, I mean, I would never. But if it's something you're interested in, like, and if you're passionate about something, like going to university really early, like you could, but it might be difficult and it might be stressful.
I can give you a story. The boy is now in Waterloo University in, I think, astrophysics. His age is now probably 18 or 19. He is finishing his PhD there.
Yeah.
Jacob, and he is a special boy. I can give you link. He has lots of documentary from American 60 Minutes or some other special challenge.
He's American. He's American boy.
He is American boy. He is now in Waterloo University.
Yeah, I think he also studied Purdue University.
No. He had all the acceptance from MIT, Harvard, and Cambridge in England. But despite of that, he chose Waterloo because of astrophysics was very, very interesting for him. And his program supported him. Okay.
How much is a tuition?
Those are exceptional cases, you know.
How much is the tuition fee for University of Toronto?
First year it was 17,000. Second year was also 17,000.
What is like the minimum marks you have to get? I know there are other factors affecting whether you get into a university or not, but what is like the minimum amount of like marks that you need to get like a good chance of getting into a university?
For me, I didn't get into the civil engineering program because my mark, I had a 90.4 average, and the cutoff for civil engineering was a 91. So that's, for civil engineering it's 91. For electrical, I'd say it's 95. Most of the people I know who got in had like 95 plus marks. Same with like track 1. I think NSci, if you want to get into like the engineering science program, it'd have to be pretty high, like into the 97s. Or like sometimes it depends on like if you have kind of low marks but you have really good extracurricular activities, you're in like a robotics team, or if you did like if you're on like design teams, or if you did those like Waterloo math contests. I don't know if you guys have done those in high school. If you do those kind of things and you place really well in them, like that can also help you.
Ask a question now.
Yeah, Aloka has question. Yes.
Yeah, parents should come later. So should I ask now? Sravani.
Yes.
Very nice presentation. A lot of information there. Very good job. You did a lot of research. I just want to know the track 1. What is that program actually?
So in UofT you can choose like electrical, computer, like all the subjects, or you can choose track 1, which means that you you have like a general I guess engineering program. It's basically a general engineering program where you don't know which engineering you're going to go into, and then after in I think February or May of your first year, you choose which engineering you want to go into afterwards. So you like declare.
Is it not the engineering science is not the same thing, or?
No, the engineering science program is kind of like above it. It's I'm not entirely like it's like a different. It's a completely different program. It's kind of separate from track 1 and the other engineering disciplines.
I have a little bit understanding about the engineering science. Actually, what they do, first 2 years, they teach us lots of mathematics and advanced mathematics. And then after 2 years, they will ask you, go to any kind of discipline you like to apply your basic mathematical application. So they become more theoretical engineer, or we can say that more advanced in mathematical way. Yes.
Okay.
That's why they require lots of mathematics.
Yeah.
It's that way advanced. Bipul.
But if you're in
So like,
engineering science, you can switch to anything you want afterwards.
It's something like. So in Toronto, you decide your major directly, or you have to do engineering on.
You can either.
So like the first year you go for general engineering. Yeah.
You can decide, like there is the general engineering option, but if you don't get into the general engineering, you can get into like a specific major.
I see. So here, like our university, everybody will have to go to general engineering first. So from term 3, you are going to go to select your major.
You mean second year? From second year?
Second year, yeah.
Well, like even though we're all in, even if I have like a class that's in civil engineering, like I had classes with chemical engineers. It was first year is very general. We only had 1 or 2 different classes because I was in civil. So like a lot of people from civil switched to mechanical engineering. So like you can switch a lot in first year at UofT. It doesn't, at the end of the day, it didn't really matter which major you chose in first year.
Okay.
And to switch, all you need is a 60% average in like university.
Okay, Proma, you know that while we are in Japan, say Tokyo is a university student, for the admission test, it was very difficult. Means that they compete and they usually learn way more in the high school to get into university. Once they are getting into university, they don't study at all. and finally what they do, just they want to pass, because they know that once they are there, they already have first year, second year knowledge of mathematics before going there. So first year and second year, very easy for them to go to pass. After that, third year, fourth year, they will do a little bit just to pass. Then once you are coming out from say Tokyo University or TIT, means Tokyo Institute of Technology, then all the company will invite you. Oh, whatever you know is not the question. You are a good student, so we will hire you. So what is
it's different here?
Yeah?
It's different here. Here we have in Canada.
Here they look at grade point averages for
Canada
jobs.
It is different, Dada. Like here we have saying that it's like med school. Once you can get admission in med school, you will be very likely you will pass. So the getting admission is difficult, but to pass it's not very difficult. But engineering is other way. So it's getting admission is relatively easy compared to med school, but we fail the student.
Now here, we know that in university it is a 40% dropout. They say. What is that?
Yes.
What is that?
So almost 30% will the 30% student will leave after first year.
And why?
In Japan?
No, here.
Here. In Canada.
So although they go to engineering, but they do not continue.
Yeah, we had a lot of people who dropped out.
Yeah. Because one of the things is the mark drops significantly. Suddenly, once you come to university, so your average will drop compared to high school, it suddenly drops a lot.
Drops is not a big deal. Once you are passing means passing. But the question is that why they drop out fully?
Yeah, that's true. But at the same time, they cannot pass even, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and Proma, can you comment on that? Do you see any? How many students are
dropping out?
With you? Yeah.
A lot of people dropped out from my friend group.
20%, 40%.
No, not that much.
Not that much. No, I would say 20. I mean, a lot of people they switch programs, like they drop out of engineering and go into math or physics or something, or a lot of people dropped out of engineering science and then came to track 1. They do that too.
That's we see always.
Yeah.
Getting into engineering science, getting 97% marks, sometimes some can give, but they are not well prepared for that. They are going down to other. That's not a big deal. But
yeah, I mean, it was just it's hard because a lot of like for me, like I didn't fail too many midterms, but a lot of people failed like their first ever midterm. And then, you know, to go from a 90% student to getting a 40% on a midterm, like on your first university midterm, it's going to feel bad. And so a lot of people, they can't handle that. But like at U of T, they don't say it, but like you're there, and if you try to pass, like they'll make you pass. They have to have an average of 70% usually. So in most case scenarios, they will curve you a little bit up to pass. So like at the end of the day, you have to accept that you will get kind of bad marks. Usually it's like a 30% drop from your usual marks.
I have another question that yes, most of the graduate student will not go for post-graduation. Once you are not going to master's or PhD higher education, then passing is more than enough to get a job or whatever you want to do. Is that
not
correct?
always? Because like for structural engineering, they require a 3.5 average sometimes, I think.
For what?
And like
graduation or for job?
For jobs, like they require a certain GPA. Even for electrical engineering, they require like a 3.0 or a 3.5 GPA.
I can comment on
Go
this
ahead.
about that because I'm working as an engineer for almost 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think anyone asks for GPA.
Really? I mean, in most of my applications,
So
it said,
when I was in SNC Lavalin, there are a lot of EITs joined there. So, you know, it's not, you will have an interview, they will see your personality. Like interview will be, they know that you know basic things and you will learn when you go there. It's the learning curve. That's why you are EIT.
oh, no,
It's not the GPA. They will see you how is your personal skill, like to work with other people, all kind of things. And there are a lot of students from Waterloo University. They were coming here as a co-op student, and then they were working there a few times, and they were hired.
Yeah.
So I don't think no, you need a good GPA definitely, but to get a job, GPA is not very important.
Okay, by the way,
sometimes it makes it just it. Yeah.
You need to know the basic things definitely to work.
Okay, well, I want to make some comment. Okay, anyway, so one of the thing is that I know two students. One student is doing PhD with us. His friend got job after the graduation. So his friend, he says that he did not do any subject study. He always did the computer programming, and he is so advanced in computer programming. Eventually, he is a professional before going to passing. But he just barely C and D and passed the university. And as soon as he got the interview, he went to, I think that Google or Microsoft. And when he went to go for interview, the boss, he could found that he knows so much that he needs him. And he promoted just at the beginning, he promoted as a senior programmer and give him high salary. So the question is that
it could happen.
Yeah, and another
Definitely
thing that you know that Elon Musk, he is saying that he will not ask any degree to hire anyone. How about? Don't think about that you will be getting job from there unless you know something. Okay. Okay.
No, the other all those things, like you see, I can comment as a professor. I can comment on it.
What?
You see that all those things are okay. The first thing is that we can say that GPA doesn't matter, but at the end of the day, that's the factor. Because you see that when someone is going to interview you, and if I work for industry, if I talk to someone like 5 minutes, I can tell easily that how much he knows for my work. So like you see that the good students, like we have co-op programs here, we always struggle with those students who has very low GPA, and every time we the good students, they have number of offer, but those whose GPA are not good, we always struggle with those guys because you see that they have to go to co-op, but they cannot find the place. So of course, like, if there are some requirement that, okay, that particular things a company wants, so okay, that's fine. But when it comes to engineering, they like to say that, see that, okay, the candidate knows engineering. So that is the target, right? In any case.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, once someone has a very good GPA, definitely he is sincere. He knows the subject, no doubt. But sometimes what I say that is very kind of uncommon though. I mean, if someone has very fascination to very specific thing like that programmer, he
Right, yeah, that's right. So that is a specialty. That is a specialty, right?
Yeah, exactly. So
you can also like
Yeah.
join a lot of clubs and stuff. Like at UofT, we have this one club called Engineers in Action, and then they like my friend went to Bolivia and she worked and she built a bridge. So like that instantly gave her like construction experience, like working in a professional environment. And so because of that, she's already at an advantage over me, who has no like experience working in construction. So like or doing like internships, doing like little clubs at university also helps with boosting like for jobs and stuff.
that means experience. That's in the field. If you are really have experience, can show something, maybe GPA maybe kind of compromised with that. But GPA is number one when you are there.
It's not like GPA is not like the main thing.
Yeah.
But
No, but yeah, you are right. And what Bipulda said, that's also one thing. So in the resume, normally when you go for interview, nobody will ask you for your GPA.
Yeah.
But in your EIT, you are fresh. You will write down your GPA. Like I got 3.8. Another person wrote 3.5, and 2% came for interview. And definitely, who has the 3.8? The interviewer will have some kind of fascination for him or her, right? So that's also another thing. Yes.
Right.
And definitely you need to know the subject.
yeah.
One more thing I can tell you that, Dada, before you, when you select the university,
Alaka,
one more thing you
sorry,
guys can
Dada.
consider is that.
I like to add one more thing with it, that
Sure.
it doesn't matter how much you know, how much is your GPA, but interview, you have to represent yourself, how well you can represent yourself. So that's different, very area, but it's very important. You know lot of things, but you cannot express in the interview. And someone has lower GPA, but he or she presented herself proper way. So obviously, he or she will get hired on top of who has the higher GPA probably. It depends.
Okay, people make a comment, something.
Me?
Yeah. What you are saying.
I am not talking about GPA. Something else. For those students, like those who wants to go to for engineering, you might think about the co-op also. Some university has co-op program, so that will help, because you can go to co-op, and when you are going to co-op, you might learn something, and you are going to come back, so you can follow what we are teaching here. So that you might also consider those things, like a Waterloo, like I think also, I'm not sure though. Like our university, we have the co-op program, so you can go to co-op.
Yeah.
And you can see what the practical thing. So then you might enjoy engineering.
Yeah,
UofT
absolutely. It's a very good point.
No, UofT has the PEY program. After third year, you can do a 16-month co-op.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, but the 16-month co-op is it's hard to get. Like company needs to have a money to hire a person for 16 months student.
I mean, most people have gotten it.
Gotten it, okay. But I see from Waterloo there are a lot of students come, like they work one time and then they go to school, and it's a very good program for them. So they learn a lot. They go to different companies and they know what the companies are doing. They know how to work with people, and also they don't have background, but they work a little bit and then they go to university. They learn more. Yeah.
Okay, very good.
But a lot of companies also hire the 16-month contract
Yeah.
as a quality student. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
they do
not
too.
uncommon actually. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that like most of the people who apply to co-op at UofT get it.
Okay, anyway, students, I want to ask you a question. So, Srijan, you said that you want to go to architecture. Which university you want to go, and what is your decision, or how do you do?
Currently, I want to go to Waterloo, but if that doesn't work out, I'll probably choose Ryerson because they also have a great architecture program.
Good, good.
So-
Aditi, what is your decision now? Chemical, mechanical, civil, and police? What is that?
I guess at the moment, mechanical, but like I'm not sure.
Mechanical has another part, mechatronics. You are saying English
Yeah.
programming and computer and robotics. Then it will be mechatronics. That is also interesting now. Okay.
I had a question.
Yes. Why you so late?
No, so like if I do like a major in engineering and like if I want to do a minor, can I do the minor from like any subject from like any area?
Yeah.
It depends on the university. Are you thinking like UofT?
Yeah.
So for UofT, I'm not sure how minors work, but we have like minor certificates, which are like extra classes that you can take, and then it'll say that you have like a minor in like there's like sustainable engineering, environmental engineering, artificial intelligence, robotics, and some like robotics and mechatronics, I think, biomedical engineering. If you search up like engineering minors, like you should be able to find it on the website.
Okay, thank you.
They have like a whole list of like the courses you have to take.
Our university, like you cannot do it because you see that we have set courses. So you have to take 5 courses from term 3 to term 8. So you will not have any other space. So every semester you are going to have 5 courses, and the following semester you are going to go to co-op. So you will not have that kind of option like in science.
Okay, so it was very interactive. There are lots of, but still, all of you did not ask any question. It looks that you are going for engineering. Your parents are listening so eagerly. I think that you are going engineering. Are you?
Yeah, I'm considering electrical engineering.
Very good, like your dad. Okay. So Ashok, do you want to say something? You listen the program very well. Say something.
I would say it's a very informative session. Thank you, Proma, for this. I got a lot of information about how to get into the university courses and also job prospect. Very, very informative. Thank you.
And Proma, he was also a professor back in Buet. Means that young professor there. So, okay.
I would respond that I see a professor here, maybe one or more, that I want to go back, that 30% dropout after the first year. So is it expected, or is it planned, or it just happens? What is the scenario actually?
Okay.
I want to know that.
People say.
I could not hear you. Can you please repeat the question?
Oh, sure. My question is about, I want to go back to that point that after first year, 30% is student, they drop out or change the program. So is it expected, or it just happens, or is planned, or what is the reality?
No, it just happens that many students like here in Canada still like they like to go to engineering. So they try engineering first. And then once they go to engineering, some of the students, they cannot cope with it. And
this is overall, I guess, not only engineering. I have seen that pretty much all over every subject and all over Canada. I think the scenario is pretty same.
Right, it's the same. The reason is you see that we do not have any admission test. We simply rely on our
high school.
Our high school grade. And once they come to the engineering or any other subject, they find that no, this is not my area. So they switch to, and that doesn't mean that they are not going to study or they don't finish their undergraduate program. They switch to other program. So they come to engineering.
Some of them
might like
actually
to go
they
to
leave.
business.
They leave the university because some of them they cannot handle it. The emotional pressure and the heartbroken situation, and I don't know what is the policy from the university teams. And these are just little kids. They just came out from the high school, and after first year, 30% are gone. It's so sad.
No, they switch to different program. It's their interest actually. They could not find their interest first. So I think that most of the time they switch to different program. And some like of course that it is different. I know that from once you come from high school and university, the teaching is different definitely. Of course, like we professors, we try to accommodate the student. We have all kind of like people they try to accommodate, but we have to understand that many kids they are coming from different places. Like you see that this year student they came here, they are living in dormitory, they have the COVID-19, they have to find a different place. All kinds of things are happening, right? So the first year is really tough for most of the students, and it is not unusual, and it is very interesting that many students pick up from second year because by that time they know that how to cope with it. And it is also true that equally true that students when they come to university they think that we are now free because parents are not here and we can do whatever we like to do. Right? So after first year they get the lesson, no, this is the top place. So this is the top place. So they come back again, So this is what happened, that when we were a student, we were exactly the same, right? So once we came to university, we thought that, oh, we are free now. So there are many things it works, right?
Okay, now Bipulda, so what will be your advice for students so that actually they can do well in first year?
I really appreciate your question.
Well, there are many students when they come to university, one thing they have to learn that they have to work independently and in timely manner, because that is one of the difficult part we have. Because in university, once they come to university, we have the assignments plus all those exams, and because you have only 14 weeks, so the students should cope with that thing. That is one of the biggest challenge I think that students have. So when they come, they think that okay, maybe we will do it slowly, but that's not the case. So from day on up to 14 weeks, you have to be like the very, very systematic. So that's the thing, and try to do otherwise, if they can do it, it should not be an issue. At least from I can see from engineering that if the students are very serious from the very beginning, even the mediocre student, they should not have any problem. But many students, when they cannot cope with, it's mainly because of they have so many other issues during the first year.
Yes,
I think
sometimes we hear that some tragic incidents happens. Like recently, is very frequently the suicide in the university students communities is very common. So I don't yeah, as a parent, when you send your kids far away, a lot of things goes on in your mind, right?
True. And it is like even Modi, it's very.
We rely on the university professors and the services available for the kids.
Yeah, it's true. Like you say, the biggest problem we have, like I can tell you that even after first year, some parents came, like that they came and said that you know what, my son or daughter never got less than 90% or 95% marks in math. How come it happened? My son or daughter failed in math, right? So,
Yeah.
so it happened, right?
Yeah, it
So,
happens, and it's pretty common, I guess.
and then it is not easy for the kids to to accept these things. Like, you know, that when you are getting 90% marks in high school, suddenly you fail in math course. No, it doesn't make sense, right? So it's not easy for those kids too. So there's a big, like, you know, in my opinion, like, you know, I cannot change the system, but I can see that there is a big jump between grade 12 and university. So that is the problem. So I think that Sravanti, you are a university student. You can tell that there is. I can see that there is a jump, right? There is a sharp change.
Definitely. It's like we never had midterms before in high school. So to like, you know, learn how to write, like how to study for, how to do your normal thing, like assignments and like quizzes and stuff, and then do a midterm the same day, that's difficult to sort of handle and plan around. So you have to be very organized, and you have to sort of plan out how your studying is going to go on a weekly and on daily basis. So for me, like I had on my phone, I had like times where I would have to study for each subject, and that, it was difficult to like plan and organize.
So Sravanti, you did your high school here. My son, he's in grade 8. So recently I attended few open houses, and some high schools I find that they have full year classes, full year program, and some schools has semester program. So how does it vary when you go to the university? University doesn't have any program for full year. It's just 4-month semester.
Mm-hmm.
So if some kids go to the full year program, how they have to be prepared for the university?
They have to be prepared for it to go a lot quicker, of course. I'm not entirely sure how you would prepare for something like that.
So how was your high school? It was semester or it was
semester?
So it helped you, right?
Yeah. I think, yeah, for me, I never considered going to a full semester at school, so.
Mm-hmm.
But good thing is that, you know, in our university, like even for first year student, we have like a program that they help not only, say, for example, statistics or any computer programming. We have a group of people, they help the first year student. We know that the first year students will struggle because they may not know that what to do. So that's why we are like, you know, we have specifically for first year students. So then even we have a coordinator for the first year coordinator.
That's great. What is about UofT, Proma? Does this help?
Yeah, you have a course called Orientation to Engineering. You have that course every week, or you have one tutorial and one lecture every single week, and then they teach you basically study tips, how to manage your time, how to make a resume, how to deal with stress, just little things to help you become a better student and succeed in university. We also have like first year directors, first year guidance counselors, first year like people who are all there to like provide services for you as well.
So Proma, so do you think students should discuss their stress and other thing with their parent while they are in university?
Definitely. Like if I ever got a bad mark or anything like that, I would always text my dad and I'd tell him I failed this midterm, and then he'd be like, it's okay, you know? I think having like not even parents, like there were midterms where I thought I failed and I was crying, but then my friends were also crying with me. So it was like we were all kind of sad together, and I think just having like a community that's very supportive is always gonna be really good for you. Like I had a really good group of friends that we studied together. We had like happy moments, we had sad moments together, and because of that, I was a much better student, I think.
Good, very good. Yeah.
So at that point, they hate us, you know.
সবাই মিলে প্রফেসরদের গালি দেয়।
তো প্রফেসরদের প্রচুর গালি দেওয়া হতো।
Yes. So, but honestly, like here, I found but those who like me, when I was in Bangladesh, I graduated from there. We could not go to the professors, like they were a scary person. But it is not. It is very different here. We always welcome. Their students are always welcome.
Oh yeah.
Whatever question they ask.
I email my professor so often that they know my name.
Right. Yeah, and this is one of the thing I learned after coming here. So that's very different thing. And I found that that sometimes these students are very talented. So they ask some question, and even I learned lots of things from them.
Then she grew up in Canada. Oh.
Yeah, looks that today is very interactive. And also, I don't know why Zoom is not kicking me out. It looks that we already time is covered. So is there any question and should we continue or what is that? Sayuri did not ask anything because she does not like to go to engineering, I know. Yes? Okay.
What about Smita? Smita, did you ask anything?
Smita is kind, I don't know, she is okay? Smita?
Yeah, she's listening.
Okay, now I mean she was sick, that's why I did not ask her.
Oh, she's fine. Yeah.
Okay, Smita, come up, show your face first.
Smita is a good listener. I think that's important. Okay.
Yeah. Smita, are you okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. Show your face and say something. What are you focusing for in study?
I don't know yet.
I don't know. Good. But do you want to go to university at all?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
At least say something. Your parent will be happy.
Uncle, did you get my slide?
Not yet. I did not see it, but I think that
I emailed it to you. I shared it to you.
Good. So tomorrow, definitely you are saying yes. Smita, are you prepared for?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Is for engineering or medical side?
I think she did not hear.
Okay. Well, that's fine.
Yeah.
Smita, do you want to go for life science or engineering? That was the question.
I don't know.
So
that's good, at least.
I think that we are more or less we are done today. So is there anything? So some master's students are here. Uchchash, do you want to say something? Uchchash?
Nothing specifically. I mean, I enjoyed the presentation a lot. Thanks for the presentation, and yeah, best of luck.
Can you come to the video? By the way, Uchchash he came from Bangladesh, Buet, but he is taking some course as a TA. So he is interacting lots of undergraduate students in the school. So do you want to say something why they are failing? How much you are giving them marks? Uchchash, say something.
Yeah, I mean, our instructor, the course instructor, has given us instruction that we have to make the undergrad students much more interested to the field. Like I'm in transportation, so I'm also TA for the transportation courses. So they're suggesting us to give them as many marks as possible to grow their interests in that particular field. So yeah, we are kind of, I mean, giving them 90, 80, somewhat around, yeah, that percentage of marks. So they're doing all good.
So no problem. If you are going to university, this kind professor, they will give you more mark.
Yeah, I mean, they're helping to grow interest among the students. So they decide to do higher studies like master's or PhD, like that, yeah.
Great. Very good. I think that's good. So it's a hopeful condition. So not only professors are pushing, but they are giving you some free marks.
Yeah, they're like encouraging them.
Okay. So we want to finish today. Is that okay?
Yeah.
So we don't know next talk, but next talk I want to arrange something that from the engineering field, what are the people doing? So we'll try to arrange that thing. So I will invite all the engineers. So what are they doing? Is that okay?
So Dada,
Yeah.
you are focusing only for the engineering mostly?
No, in the beginning I did the medical science.
Oh, really? We missed it.
I don't know.
Unfortunately.
You don't like to come when you are busy. So we did all. I think that more biological than engineering we did. This is the first presentation for engineering, I think.
Okay.
We did one first presentation was that how to get into medicine. And
Wow,
he was a MD PhD program.
No, I have seen some of the life science about the virus and bacteria, those presentation I was there.
Yeah, that was the kids presentation.
Yeah.
And then, yeah. এই যে নিপু হচ্ছে আমার ফ্রেন্ড ও যে প্রমা হচ্ছে তার মেয়ে হ্যাঁ
নমস্কার
Okay, so everything looks আজকে presentation was very good, Nipu, very interactive.
No, I didn't come. So Proma maybe is she'll feel uneasy. That's why.
No, good. He did great job. It was very interactive.
Yeah, it was very good, very informative. Thank you, Proma.
Okay.
It was wonderful presentation, Shravanti, and good luck with your university.
And I am very happy to see that she was talking about civil engineering.
He is a professor in civil engineering.
I am a civil engineer.
Good.
No problem. Next time will be electrical engineering.
Oh, no. Okay.
So,
I don't know who's going to do it though. I'm not an engineer, so I don't know.
No problem.
Just in case.
The wife of engineer is more than an engineer. So everyone says
No,
that.
I don't live with my husband's job. I have my own and I'm happy with it.
Oh, that's great. But they always say that the police wife is a boro police. And not only that, Rashtrapati police officerদের মিটিং এ যায় বলছে যে দেখেন
because most of the police officers wife back home back then they don't work.
Oh,
they did not have any career except their household work. So
পুলিশ ওয়াইফের
this
সামনে
is
এসে
very
বলছে
different.
দেখেন আমি রাষ্ট্রের যাই হোক কিন্তু বাসায় গেলে আমাদের অনেক কষ্টে থাকতে হয় আপনারা একটুখানি আমাদেরকে একটু কাজ করার জন্য সুবিধা দিয়েন Okay.
I have no problem, Dada, but I have no intention to be an engineer. I'm happy with my profession and my background.
Engineer is not making money. Business people are making more money. Okay. So do we are finishing that, okay? Is that?
Okay, Dada.
Proma, thank you very much again. Everyone,
good presentation. Keep it up.
Okay, bye.
And I think that you love civil engineering.
Who, me? Me?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm in civil engineering. I have to like it now.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. And you know, when I started my engineering, I thought that okay, I wanted to study engineering if and only if I get chance in civil engineering.
Oh, for me, I wanted to do electrical because my brother is electrical and my dad's electrical. But then I didn't enjoy the electrical courses, so I chose civil instead.
Okay.
You will enjoy it. You can work to you can go to site. You will do the hands-on lot of things. And here, you know, it's different. Nobody treat you as a woman. Like it's very good. Yeah, you can do whatever you learned. You can applicate it when you go for job. Yeah, and you learn more. It's a good choice.
Thanks.
Okay, wish you all the best.
Good luck.
We're concluding, and if you want, I can give you the recorded message. Okay, recorded video. Okay.
All right.
Goodbye.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
See you next week.